Hello, sleuthers. We are heading to Lake Eden and talking to Hannah's sister, Michelle, otherwise known as Tess Atkins. How are you doing today, Tess?
I am great. I am staring out the window at a very rainy day here in Vancouver, and I'm so happy to be chatting with you.
It's raining in Vancouver. That sounds
Can you
unheard of.
believe it?
This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark channel.
I feel like we're always fighting the rain every time we're filming anything, and it's not surprising. It rains like almost every day of the year.
Well, I'm here in Phoenix and I'm looking out at an 86-degree sunny day. So,
Okay, now I'm quite jealous.
see, I'm kind of jealous of you because I would like a little bit of rain and a little change of weather, but
If I'm being truthful, when I lived in LA, I used to wake up every morning and like be quite angry that it was like another sunny day. It made me mad. Like I was like, how am I supposed to be a brooding actor when this weather? Because like my whole childhood, if it's sunny, you have to go play outside. You're not allowed. Like you can't sit. It rains every
right.
day of the year. So if it's sunny, you simply must stop doing whatever you're doing, work, school, whatever, and go outside. So I just had this thing in LA. I'm like, I can't sit inside and learn lines.
You're originally from Vancouver, right? Yeah,
Born and
so
raised.
born and raised. Okay. Well, you ready to
Yeah.
go and get asked some really, really tough questions?
Yeah, I'm ready. Hit me with them.
All right, with the heavy hitting ones, what is the best part about being an actor?
Getting to be someone different than you for whether it's the scene or the movie or whatever. I love being different characters and getting to play with different feelings and different emotions, different circumstances. I feel like my approach is always sort of like, it's me, but how would I handle it if I had all of these different life circumstances, right? So I don't get to necessarily play being like the bad guy or having those intentions. And so, yeah, it's just really fun and a different way to express. It's very cathartic for me. And the costumes, I really like the outfits. And yeah, just becoming some other person. It's amazing. And I've loved it since I was a kid. And as a kid, I got into it because I was obsessed with watching film and television. And that was like my stress relief, getting to watch a show and getting to watch characters and getting immersed in their life. And I was like, wait, could I do that as an actor? And so that's, yeah, yeah.
Well, okay, you brought up a couple little sub questions I'm going to ask. So you love the wardrobes. What would be your like decade or period that you would most want to be cast in then?
Oh, I would love to do like 1800s period with
All
like the
right.
corset and the dress. That's like the dream.
Oh, that
I
may be a
auditioned those.
careful what you wish for from what I've heard of
Yeah,
wearing those things, but
I just love like personally, I love like long dresses, and I feel so girly and elegant and beautiful. I feel like it fits my body type. I that's like the perfect outfit. But yeah, then you have to wear the corset all day, and someone has to help you go to the bathroom. It's definitely not as romantic as I think it's going to be, but that would be the perfect time.
okay. And then you said you were inspired by TVs and movies when you were a kid. So what was your favorite TV show when you were growing up?
Oh, Gilmore Girls.
All
Like
right.
as like at, in later, I think I started watching when I was like 14 or something, and I'm to this day it's one of my favorite shows. I watch it start to finish like every couple years. I just love that show and love their dynamic and those characters and that world. There's been times I've mentioned to my partner that we should move to a small town in Connecticut. Like, love Gilmore Girls. But also just, yeah, for me, a lot of the time, if I had something stressful, if I had like soccer or something and I was feeling anxious about a game, my dad would literally be like, go watch a TV show for 30 minutes. It doesn't really matter what it is. So a lot of the time, I actually ended up watching like, there'd be a Hallmark show on, or it'd be like 3 in the afternoon after school, and
No, you're
family.
lying. You were actually
No,
watching Hallmark as a kid then?
no, it wasn't Hallmark. It was like it was the women's network or something. It was
Oh,
like channel 30, and it was just something that was on. It was something that was on. So it would be
right.
like that, or the Disney Channel. So it'd be like Miley Cyrus or whatever characters were on the Disney Channel at the time. And it was just like something, just truly something just to watch. And it was just immediately such a stress reduction. And I feel that way now as soon as I step on set too. I'm like, okay, I get to be like pause on Tess and whatever stressful things going on in her life, and I get to do this like fun, like truly fun thing now.
Okay, well, at least you weren't the teenager who's turning on ID channel or whatever to then add the stress, seeing some crazy, whatever, real life murder. Not, we'll talk about the
No,
mysteries and all the how deadly of a place Lake Eden is, but that's a whole nother story.
honestly, it's quite shocking.
Well, we talked about what the best part of being an actor is. So the conversely, what's like the toughest part, or it's the thing like maybe us as fans don't realize, you know, because
Yeah.
we look at it and go, like you said, you get to play, you get to do this, but we talked to enough to
Oh,
know it's not the easiest job out there.
it is not the easiest job. I think because you have no control over whether, and I'm two parts. One, I'm going to say initially, it's like you have no control over whether or not you get to do the thing that you love in a professional sense. Um, and I'm working even now on figuring out how I still get to be an actor on the days that I'm not getting paid to be an actor. But man, the heartbreaks. I've I've worked as an actor since I was 14, and the heartbreaks of so many hundreds of auditions that I wanted so bad and didn't get, and I felt like I did a great job, and it was, and the phone doesn't ring, and no one can really tell you why, and then you watch it a year later and you go, oh, they hired that girl. Maybe it was because she was prettier, or maybe it's because she was better actor, which hurts, or maybe they just wanted someone who's 2 inches shorter. Like it truly is. It's hard to separate the like emotion of wanting it so bad and then can't, and then not being able to have it, and also the rejection piece of just, you can like logic it through as much as you want, but then ultimately they didn't pick you. So that's definitely the hardest on the day-to-day basis. um yeah.
Is there one role that you auditioned for that you just to this day are still like, damn it, why didn't I get that one part? Or kind of they
Oh,
blend together at this point?
they kind of blend together, but there's a funny one, and honestly I don't even remember what the show was, but I graduated high school. I had done like my first sort of number one on the call sheet for on a Lifetime movie, just before, like, just my last couple of months of high school. And my parents are both lawyers. My brother was in university, and they were like, you're going to university. And I was like, I don't know, like, I think, I'm gonna get cast in something. I was so confident, like, I'm gonna get cast in something, and like I'm gonna be busy. I'm gonna be working on whatever TV show, and they said, just apply to universities, get in, and we'll pay the $500 to hold your spot, and you can decide, come end of August, if you don't have a role end of August, you can just go to a university and start. And they were like, well, just get her in. And I said, I'll agree to those terms. And so end of August came around, and I was on hold for a TV show that filmed in Halifax. And I was so confident because I'd never been on hold before and not gotten it. So I was like, I've got it. And so I agreed. I said, okay, off I go to university, because I'm going to hear in like the first week that I have booked the show in Halifax. And I didn't even unpack my bags. They dropped me off in my dorm room. They're very tearful. I'm like, I don't know why I'm going to see you in 2 days. And then, of course, I got a call from my agent. Like, as soon as my parents left the campus, I got a call from my agent at the time, and he said, "You didn't get it. They went with someone else." And I was like, "Whoa, that means I have to stay at university? Like, that's not right." And so I did that. I stayed for 4 months, and during that time, I went down to LA with my agent a couple times, and decided we brought an LA agent onto our team, and I decided that actually I would drop out in January and move to LA, which needed to happen. I did end up coming back to university and finish, but it needed to happen for me to realize that I wanted to finish my university degree. But yeah, so that's the funniest one. That was like the most gut wrenching at the time, because I had sort of bet on it happening, which now I'm like, you should never bet on it happening. Never do
So,
that.
so when you walked in and met your roommate, you're like, I'm not even going to bother knowing your name because I'm out of here in a week.
I literally, so I had a single. I insisted on having a
Okay.
single. And my friends, when I dropped out in January, and my friends on my floor wrote me like a letter, because I was in Victoria, but I was flying back and forth to Vancouver all the time for auditions and see my family. Like, I was just not committed to being in Victoria. And when they wrote me the card being like, "Oh, you're leaving. It's so sad," they were like, it would have been nice to know you more. Like, like they knew I was just 1 foot out the door, and so that was my only sort of dorm experience. And I wish that I could have really enjoyed it, but it wasn't where I needed to be at the time.
Were you the typical dater kid growing up?
Dater kid?
Theater.
Oh, theater.
Yeah.
I had dater. I was like, was I dating around?
Well, yeah.
Um,
Were you dating when you were 6?
oh, I was just like all over that.
Were you the theater kid?
Yeah. So, like, I did my school plays in elementary school and I did my school plays in high school. I remember I sort of started acting class outside of school when I was in grade 6 or 7 because my dad is an entertainment lawyer, and at some point it dawned on me that I wanted to be an actor in movies because they're so great. And my little 10-year-old self just said to my dad, just put me in movies. You just figure it out. Like, I don't know, like, you have the power. Did not have the power, and didn't want to do that either. So he was like, "No, like you can do a class if you want, like just like any of your other sports, you can pick what you want to do, and if you want to do a class, we can put you in a class." And so I did a class outside of school. I had braces, and I couldn't audition yet for things, and that was all good. But during that time, I auditioned for my high school play in grade 8, and my high school drama teacher was like, "You're not good at acting." Just like shattered my whole. I was like, wait, what? Like, I thought as soon as these braces were off, I was going to take off as an actor. It was just the braces holding me back. But I auditioned again the next year, and she decided I was good at acting, and so I did a couple high school plays, and I actually went to a special high school. I transferred in grade 11, and it was a theater program. Yeah, all dedicated to. Oh, sorry, my do not disturb is not on, and my phone just rang. Ah,
Well, hopefully it's not
oh
someone like calling to give you some big role, and you're like, I can't
no.
talk. I'm podcasting right now.
No, it's a sales call from my meal prep company that like sends us the grocery bags, that I like have their number saved so that I know when they're calling to like upsell me on next week's groceries. So that's what it is. It's a sales call. But yeah, so I was definitely a theater kid. But I did lots of sports and stuff like that too. And then
All right. Well, you live in Vancouver, and you also were in the Flash and Supernatural. So when
yeah.
you go to Starbucks, is pretty much like every other person you see there like have been in one of those shows? It seems like whenever you look at IMDb, one of those
Yeah.
shows is on everybody's,
Yeah.
roster there.
Well, what I think is very cool about Supernatural, I mean, it ran for so long, is that they hired local actors. I mean, I must have auditioned like 30 times for Supernatural over the years, and finally got to play a role in it and loved my character. I was so glad. Like, loved my character. I had such a good role. I had so much fun on set with Jensen and Jared, and it was just such a great experience. But yeah, so both of those shows are really committed to hiring Vancouver actors when they could. They had both had great casting directors. So yeah, there's a lot of us who are like, oh yeah, and I did episode blah blah and blah blah. And then as Supernatural actually went on, they had a rule that like if you were a guest star and you died, I think you could come back after 3 seasons had passed. So there was a lot of people who did like season 1 and season 10 as guest stars because it just went on for so long. And for sure, now sometimes you'll be in a group of actors and you're like, which one did you do? Oh, season 13, episode 7. Oh yeah, okay, no, I was in season 3, episode 1. And yeah, the Flash, but the Flash, Arrow, Superman, and Lewis, like they were all kind of, yeah, you were in one of them.
You're just talking about like going to the thing. Who are some of your acting buddies that maybe we know about? Because it seems like a lot of you guys all know each other.
Yeah, yeah. Vancouver is a really small town. One of my acting buddies that you probably know is Adam DeMarco. He was just on White Lotus, and he's shooting a really cool project right now. And he and I were on a Hallmark show together. Actually, he was on. We first met. He was my love interest on a Lifetime movie. And he had just moved to Vancouver and gone to film school, and I was like 17. And yeah, so we met and sort of had a friendship, started a friendship, and then we both got cast in the Emma Fielding mysteries, which was cool because then we were filming them out of Vancouver, so we would get to like, we were staying in a hotel, and it just was a really nice like time to bond. I was living in London at the time too, so I would like fly home and get to like spend 2 weeks straight with like my best friend, and then fly back to London. And yeah, so he's one of my good buddies. And then trying to think who else you might know. Oh, my friend Lillian, great friend. She's also just did a Hallmark movie, a
Cassette
Christmas
Roche?
one. Yeah.
Oh, we love her.
Have you chatted with her?
Yep.
Oh, she's awesome. I was
She
literally texting with her this morning to set up lunch plans for the weekend.
She is the like most delightful,
She
nice,
is.
genuine person.
Yeah.
No, wait.
No,
The only question I have is how tall are you?
I'm shorter than Lillian.
What, isn't everybody?
She's very tall. I'm very tall too. I'm 5'9", and I think
Okay.
she's like 5'11".
Yeah, so she's got you just a little bit. Okay. She played soccer too, I think.
Yeah, she did, but she didn't grow up in BC.
Okay.
So we didn't play soccer against each other at all. But no, she's an athlete. She's intense.
Well, when you have your lunch, tell her we said hello. And
I will.
in fact, I just talked to her yesterday because she posted some trailer picture, and I was like, "Wait, are you shooting?" She's like, I can't tell you what's going on.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
got
she is
something
shooting
good.
something that's very exciting, and I'm sure she'll be really excited to tell you about it. Aha, I do know a secret. That was the first one that I might know.
All right, well, what classic character out there in film or TV that you wish they would make a remake and cast you to play that role?
I'd love to play. I mean, we sort of about the outfits. Like, I'd love to do of something where I'm on a horse. I'm like a big horse person, so I'd love to do.
Now, are we
Like
talking? Are we talking Western, or are we the
I know. I'm
English
just thinking.
saddle?
I'm just thinking that I ride both, but I'm just thinking, would I rather do like something like Outlander or something like Yellowstone? I think like Beth Dutton in Yellowstone would be probably the dream role. How fun is that character? Yeah, she should just retire because like she's had the best role. There's no
Done.
done. Like, there's no topping that. Like, you just get to go 100% there every time. Like, I think for me, having said also earlier in this, like the cathartic aspect of acting, and yeah, getting to just come to set and be like, oh, today I'm gonna just pop off on someone, and I get to go 100%, like whether it's full meltdown or full rage or full, love and commitment, like whatever it is, it's all the way there. And I love those characters. So yeah, I think like if I could pick one, it's not super old, but like
Right.
Beth Dutton Yellowstone would be up there.
So a movie where you can go just crazy and ride a horse is the criteria.
Yeah. Like,
All
go crazy, ride a horse. Try to think of another one.
Oh,
Bill.
but also a period piece would be good. So, all right, well, we're going to go back and just, I know IMDb is not always perfect, but when you go to it, one of your very, very earliest roles was in The Killing, where you played green-haired girl.
Yeah.
So at that point, is there like, that point in your career where you're getting cast as green-haired girl, is it like, my goal is just to be cast as something with a name?
Anything with a name.
An actual name.
I had a name before Green Haired Girl, I will say. So yeah, I think that was I'm trying to remember. So I started acting, and then I filmed that in December. I filmed that movie in December because I remember it was like snowing. It was awful. We filmed under a bridge. It was really cold. I had green hair. I was in fishnets. It was freezing. I had to fake smoke a cigarette, but I didn't know. I never smoked anything because I was 15. So I coughed and coughed and coughed. And yeah, so before that, like in the summer, I had done 2 movies. I'd done an indie feature, and I'd done a Disney movie, I think. Or like movie of the week, Disney-esque, and it was with a Disney actor who I knew, which I thought was very cool. And that was those are my first 2 jobs. And I had lines and character, I had a little character and a little bit of a character arc in both of them. And yeah, and then we did Green Haired Girl. Yeah, I think I remember my agent being like, the character doesn't have a name.
So is that actually what they say, is like, hey, we're going to do green-haired girl?
Yeah, like my agent.
Or is that like when you get your script, or? Everything.
Like I knew that the character didn't have a name. But I remember my agent saying like it's a small scene, but it's a good scene, and it's a side of you that we haven't seen yet. I think it'll be really good for your reel. If you book it, obviously. And do you want to audition for it? It was always a question with my agent about whether or not I wanted to audition for something, which I really respected. But definitely quite early on, like it was a focus that my goal was not to um be an actor. I wasn't in it for like the money. I didn't want to play a barista but get, a thousand rolls a year and make a really good living but not have like character. From it really is like a passion of mine. Like I'm here not for the money but to play the characters, and if it doesn't have a if that doesn't exist, I'm not really interested in the role. So yeah, that was one of the only one that I've ever done that doesn't have a name. But that being said, it was a really cool scene and it was a really cool character, and I got to play in this really world that I've never gotten to play in since. So, yeah, yeah.
Now, we talked, your hair is very glorious, but when you had to play green haired girl, did you wear a wig or did they actually color your hair?
Oh my God. I told everyone in my high school that I was going to film a TV show and that they were going to change my hair. And so when I come back, it's going to be like a color. And I don't know. I just was like, I thought they were going to be so envious. And then they did tape ins. They just taped in rows of green hair. Of course, I didn't dye my hair. I was in one day. I was there. They were like, we're not going to dye your hair. What are you talking about? And I was like, are you sure you could? I wouldn't mind. And they were like, why would we ruin your hair for like, we can just tape them in. It was an amazing, like super high budget show, like amazing makeup and hair team. They were like, why? And so no, they taped in the hair. Yeah. And then I came to school and they were like, were you lying that you were on a show? I was like, no, in 9 months when it comes out, you can see.
Well, I think, once again, according to IMDb, it seems like Just in Time for Christmas was your first Hallmark experience.
Yeah.
So what was that like when because we were talking about, all the things that are filmed in Vancouver. Hallmark is obviously quite big there. So what was it like your first Hallmark experience?
So that was actually, we filmed it in Victoria, which is really fun because, yeah, again, you're like in the hotel and it's sort of, yeah, you get to really immerse yourself in the project. That was a really hard, I had been pegged before then. I'd been acting for maybe 4 or 5 years. And I'd been pegged as like not Hallmark. Like Lifetime, yes, like gritty. We like to bring her in as the wild card. She likes to play the mean characters, and she likes to play green haired girl, like those kinds of things. And so Hallmark had just never hit for me. I was not like bubbly and smiley and, you know, all those things that Hallmark really embodied. And I just didn't feel like every time I auditioned, I was like, I can't get there from like an energy perspective or whatever it is. They just don't want me. So when I did Just in Time for Christmas, I auditioned 4 times, I think. And I don't know where I think what it was is like somebody on the production, like whether it was the producer or director, somebody really wanted me and the other person wasn't sure. So I ended up doing so many auditions to see if like they could get the other person to be like, oh yeah, now I can see it. So I auditioned and auditioned and auditioned. And I came in with different hair and different clothes and, got really specific notes and I got the sense I never worked on the Hallmark Channel before. So I didn't know if this was like normal for all of the shows or if this was a special show. And I learned later that it was like the Hallmark Hall of Fame Christmas movie, and it had Christopher Lloyd, like it had William Shatner and Christopher Lloyd. It was a kind of a one of the higher budget Christmas movies. And so, yeah, they really wanted to get it right. And then once I was cast, it was awesome and magical. And I think we filmed in August and we had snow and yeah, right. It was cool. It was very cool.
Well, you're talking about the auditioning there. We had Dylan Neal on a little while ago, who definitely told everything. He pulled back the curtain and didn't hold back. But he said one of the interesting things is being an actor is how little you actually work per se. Like if you work a couple days a year, you've had a pretty good productive year. And he
Yeah.
said the job really is auditioning, which you don't get paid for, and
Hmm.
all that. So for you, tell us a little bit about your process for auditioning, and then do you have any like just crazy audition story that maybe something just went horribly wrong or anything funny like that?
Oh, yes. Many. So the process definitely usually gets, well, so now there's some union rules, which is cool that they have to give you a certain amount of turnaround. So if they give you the audition at 2 o'clock on Thursday, they have to give you like at least 24 hours, I think. So they can't ask it. It used to be that they would send you an email at 5 o'clock at night and say, you have an audition at 9 in the morning. And you'd be like, okay, well, I just throw out my dinner plans and start working, and it's the way that it is. And I remember there was like an energy around that made it really fun, but also challenging, and they weren't getting the best performances I think that they needed. And then during COVID we switched to everything is remote, so I think I've had maybe less than 5 in-person auditions since COVID started. They're all over Zoom or just self-taped with friends, or if I can wrangle my boyfriend into helping me or whatever. And so that's like a completely different world. Now you get like a couple days almost always, and you're filming yourself, and you have to like worry about what you look like and like how the camera is, and if your lighting in your home is good. And that's a part of the new world that I really don't like. I want that to be someone else's job. I'm like, I want you to worry about what I look like and if it's correct, and I want me to worry about the acting. And so I can get kind of like caught up in that process, and like get a little bit like off track. But basically, yeah, we just get the scenes, we memorize them. Some actors are quicker at it than others, and some actors have different tools for memorizing the scene. Some actors just don't memorize it for auditions. They say, you know what, when you're paying me, I will memorize the scene, but until then, they do the scene with the sides in their hand, and I think that works for them. I like lose my place on the page, so then I like get totally jolted out of the audition. Like I have to memorize them. And yeah, and then you send it off, and you hope that you hear from them, but you don't usually. So yeah, auditions are tough, but when it's really great, like really great material, I just switched my mindset and was like, you know what, I get to be an actor for an hour today. And yeah, I'll do a couple auditions a week where I get to like dig my teeth into something, and I'm just like, you know what, that's enough. That's all right. Like if I hear from them, I hear from them, and that's gonna be awesome. And if I don't, like that's all right. I got to be an actor this week, and that's like what I want. Um, Funny audition stories. I mean, I have many. I actually for a Hallmark. Oh, I shouldn't necessarily a Hallmark that I booked, but it is a Hallmark that I booked. Not anyway. I went in with my hair in braids, and one of the people in the audition room said to me, "Oh, you'll have to take your hair out and like have it big and like flowing because they'll never cast you if your hair's in braids for the audition." And we'll never get approval, no matter how good your audition is. And I was like, really? And so I took my hair out, and I was like, well, it looks bad now because I've been in braids. Like I didn't do my hair. Like I thought this was like right for the character. And then I ended up booking it, and I was like, okay, I guess they were right. Like it was probably the hair. Um, so that was a funny one. And then recently I went in, and yeah, like I said, we're not in person very often anymore. It's for a feature film. I was so excited. I did a taping, and then I had an audition over Zoom with the casting director. And then the casting director was based in London actually, and she flew into Vancouver, and she brought this wonderful Scottish director with her who was like lovely, lovely woman. And then the Vancouver casting team is there as well, who's known me since I was 10. And I come in, and I'm so excited, and something just like went off. Like I just choked up, and I like forgot that I'd rehearsed so many times, that I'd done in the previous auditions, and I just choked. And it was bad. Like no one saved me. They just like watched me flounder, and finally I like remembered, like it was a long time. Like the reader was staring at me like, you don't know that, like, and it just, we were frozen. And then finally I was like, oh right, the words. And they came back to me, And it was so bad. And there was no chance, like the talent that was in that room was incredible. There was no chance they were hiring me after not remembering the words, and they didn't. But the director, like the little wonderful Scottish director who was like 5 feet tall, she got up and gave me a hug. I was like, am I getting a hug because this is so sad that I just ruined my audition? And that's where I left. I called my dad after. I was like, Dad, she got up and gave me a hug because it was so bad.
I guess if you're
So
going to
yeah,
flounder big, right?
yeah. If you're gonna flounder, at least at least look sad enough after that someone gives you a hug.
We are going to talk about Hannah, but first, you were in Emma Fielding, another
Yeah.
mystery series there, and you played Carrie. Tell us a little bit about what it was like, that franchise, and what you enjoyed about that role.
I loved that show. I loved that show. I loved Courtney Thorne Smith. She's like amazing. Um, and James Tupper, I'd worked with him before on two Lifetime movies actually. So it was really nice to be with a familiar crew. Like I said, Adam was on that show, and that was like it was just such a great team. And the makeup team was amazing. Sandy Cooper is like a famous Hallmark makeup artist here in Vancouver, and she was on that show and just made me feel and look so beautiful every time she did my makeup. And so yeah, that's like I just love the people that I was working with. And it was a fun role. Like I feel like we really got to dig into things. Literally, we're archaeologists. So we were outside a lot, and we were using our hands and getting dirty, and yeah, it was just a great show. I love that show. I
Where
wish we would
did
do more.
where did they film that one?
Also in Victoria, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, we filmed sort of on the island in a bunch of different sort of locations. We filmed that there's a couple castles over there and things that are quite old. So it played well into like the university that we needed. And yeah, and I don't know why I'm not sure why they picked Victoria over something else, but I think the locations, I think it made more sense for the locations.
We're not going to be able to sugarcoat this, but when you came on Hannah, Michelle was not the most beloved introduction of a character. You had
Okay.
a couple things that were going against you. One, you had Andrea Lisa Rupp was very much
Beloved.
beloved, and she was no longer there. And so while you weren't necessarily replacing her, a lot of fans were like, "Oh, she's replacing her." And then they also your introduction in that first one, Sweet Revenge, Michelle was a lot, right? Now, fortunately,
Yeah.
the writers have mellowed out and everything. But so that first one, but what was it like stepping in to such an established franchise? And like say, while you didn't really replace Andrea, you kinda did in the minds of
Yeah.
people. So how was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, challenging. I remember I didn't really like when I first did the audition for it. My agent was like, this is a pickup of a franchise that had not died, but like they stopped filming them, and they're rebooting them kind of and bringing them there's new characters and whatever. So I didn't know that much about it. And then once I booked it, a couple friends of mine who'd been on the older ones were like, "Oh, that's the one with Lisa Rupp, who, by the way, also beloved. Like, I love that woman." So like, oh, I just didn't really get I didn't know that there was any of that tension. I didn't know that she wasn't coming back, or I just didn't know the history and the story really at all. So I just went in like bushy tailed and wide eyed and like so excited. And yeah, I mean, Allie is such a pro. It was the first time that I've worked on a movie where the executive producer is actually like extremely involved and the lead actor. Ali approves everything from our wardrobe. When we want to make dialogue changes, we have a lot of like freedom on set that in a lot of movies. Sorry, my cat is really excited about this interview. Yeah, like when we want to make in a lot of movies, if you want to make like a little dialogue change or something doesn't quite make sense or isn't working for you, you can't do it because like, we need to go to the writers or to LA or to wherever. And she can actually just like approve that in the moment. So it gives you this like really cool creative, like it feels like we're a team that's like making decisions and working together and literally solving the problem of making a movie on a day-to-day basis. So it was really cool from filming it, and that perspective. And then I didn't really realize, like, I didn't have as much respect, I think, as I should have for like the fans of the show. I didn't know that it was like such a beloved show. And that's a cultural thing, maybe. Like, Hallmark isn't as big of a thing. We film a lot of Hallmark here, but we don't have that channel. So we don't have like huge Hallmark community in Canada. And so yeah, I was surprised. I was like, oh, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Let me just get back on track here. And yeah, and I think we found our way now. I think like once
Right.
Lisa came back, and the dynamic between all of us, and yeah, hopefully I'm winning them over.
Well, like I say, they definitely, I think, as you said, have found Michelle's groove. So it's not there. And I think for a lot of fans, they get to see that, yeah, Andrea can be there. Sometimes sometimes she's not, which I'm guessing is a scheduling thing, but I don't know. But
Yeah, I don't know.
above our pay grade, right?
It's about
So
definitely. I just get told to come and when, and then I do.
show up and there we go.
Exactly.
So what have you enjoyed? Because I think it's like six, if I'm not mistaken, that you've been in now. So
Yeah.
what have you enjoyed about seeing, obviously not having, and once again, I actually liked Michelle the whole time. So,
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
but,
glad to hear you had my back.
but like I say, there was a little warming up of her. But what have you enjoyed besides not having fans hate her? Have you enjoyed about the arc of the character and where you've taken it from, the first one onto now?
Yeah. I mean, she's grown up a lot. I think in that first movie, she felt a little like wayward. And I think it was a bit yeah, she didn't have a home, and she was sort of this like rebel, like black sheep, literally. Like,
Right.
she's got dark hair and dark makeup, and then there's our the rest of the blonde family, and I'm a little younger, and like all those things, and it felt like a petulant child a little bit, and I leaned into that in that movie. I was like, she just feels young and petulant, so that's what we're gonna do. And now it really feels like Michelle has grown up so much. Like, she's an adult now, and she has a home, and she has a partner, and she contributes in a way that's not snarky. She definitely still has an edge, and she's sarcastic. Like, those things are just who she is, and that was always there. But she's found a way to make that work and not be annoying. So yeah, I think like watching Michelle grow up and integrate more and like share more and have a relationship more with Hannah that's more of like equals instead of like little sister. Um yeah, that's been fun.
So I don't know if have you read any of the books by chance?
I have.
Okay, because I will say one of the things that is funny how a lot of fans, the things they get all angry about in Hannah, really is pretty close to what the books are. Now, while the actual plots of the movies tend to be
Yeah,
very varied, if you look at like the characters though, because that's who Michelle in the
is.
book really is, right? And then people
Yeah.
get mad at it. Or when Hannah, they're like,
Yeah.
Hannah can't make up her mind with the guys. Well, that's who Hannah is. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah, like in the
and
books, like Hannah never decides. Like
and
like she yeah.
right. And so that may be why I was also a little more comfortable with Michelle from the beginning, because that's when she got introduced. I remember I forget which one it was. It may have been actually Carrot Cake, but she's getting off the bus and she's in her like whatever college kid, black leather and everything crazy. So
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, one of the things Michelle is a photographer. So
Mhm.
do you got any mad photography skills or
Photography skills?
yeah?
No, but my partner is a photographer, so he we have like 1,000 cameras. I'm trying to look further any right here. No, we have many, many, many cameras, and so I'm around them a lot, and so I'm sort of like by exposure, I am a photographer. But I will say that not a lot, occasionally, as in perhaps only on one occasion, but still, they used the shot that I took on the camera. Like, I'm actually taking photos.
Oh,
Michelle is
really?
actually taking photos, and they used the shot that I took. Whether I don't know if it was
Cool.
like for promotion, or I can't really remember now, or if it was like we used it back in the movie. But I take a good photo every now and then. And in our first few movies, our director Pat is an amazing photographer. He came from the camera department, and so he brought, like, the camera I had in the first few films is like a $20,000 camera, like an insane camera. And all of the camera operators were like drooling over me holding this camera, and they would all take turns running up and putting the lens cap on. Like, not the props department, the camera department would be like, "Oh, we got to make sure, like, at the end of the scene, like, that it gets protected." But it was Pat's personal camera, and he, like, would brought it and let me use it and taught me how to take photos. And yeah, he'd go through them at the end of the day and be like, "These aren't terrible. Like, this one's not terrible. This
Well,
one's okay. This one's awful." Like,
there's the one, I forget which one it is, but when you guys have all the pictures on the table, maybe
yeah, I
there.
feel like that's every single one. But yeah,
The so your boyfriend, does he like to sit there and look at you and judge you at all? Then, since he's a photographer, be like, that's not how you would be, whatever, aiming
yeah,
or anything like that. Like
yeah.
he's getting a little
There's no
technical
way.
on you.
No, I mean, he in fairness, if I have my choice, we don't watch anything that I'm in.
Really?
I just don't. I mean, like, I will watch them for, editing my demo reel, or, in preparation for PR and stuff like that. Obviously, like, I see a lot of it in post production. But no, I hate when, like, anyone that I know is watching it and I'm sitting there watching them watch me. And so I don't know if he's seen that much. I think he might secretly watch, but no, I don't. I don't. I don't know.
So you don't watch yourself. Do you get on social and read the comments though?
I try not to. I try not to. Occasionally. And yeah,
So you're
but I
not
really
there
try
during
not
the
to.
live viewing, just scrolling
Yeah, to be
Twitter
like, what
and
are they watching? No, I'm not. I'm just not a big. I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know what happens really on Twitter. And then yeah, Instagram is hilarious, and every now and then I do, like, pop up in the comments and stuff like that. But I feel like, thankfully, most of the attention is on Allie and Hannah's journey and Hannah's character and the guys and stuff like that. So even when I look in, I'm like, oh, this is so nice. They're saying such nice things about Hannah and Allie, and that brings me joy, and I don't have to see anything about myself.
well, you just mentioned her, Allie. So you work obviously with Alison Sweeney, who we talked to, who, like, when you said she's a pro,
Yeah,
she, of all the interviews I've ever done, she is the one who, like, it was just very different because you can just tell how dialed she is in just being a professional. And,
yeah,
like, not bad, but it was just very different. There's nothing wasted in what she does. Everything is calculated, and once again, not in a
never.
bad way. It's just
Yeah.
very, you can tell she's a personal empire. But so you work with her, and
Oh
then
yeah.
also Barbara Niven. So, like, two of these just
Yeah.
icons.
Iconic.
Just, what is it like just being on set with them, and, like, what have you learned just through osmosis, or
Mm.
maybe that they sat you down and talked to you about it or something like that?
It's literally like a master class. I think, like, um, yeah. I mean, Barbara Niven is incredible. Her comedy skills are unreal. She's so sharp and fun, and just also just like the loveliest person. So she just, every time you see her, she remembers everything about you and your, you know, family member that was sick, or your cat that had a cold, or like whatever. And yeah, she really just is so lovely, and it brings me so much joy every time I see that we're in and on the same day. And yeah, so that's just like an honor and lovely. Um, Allie is, like you said, she's turned on all the time. I mean, you said calculated, which is interesting. She does, like, we have had a lot of really fun moments together where it is just like purely fun. Like, she does take the time and let herself, like, switch off every now and then. But yeah, like, when we're on set, she's in almost every scene. But if she's not in the scene, you can almost guarantee that she's behind the monitor watching the scene, watching how it plays out, giving notes if notes are required. Like, she is, this series and her work means so much to her, and she's committed to it. She's prepared. She doesn't suffer fools. Like, she doesn't have a lot of time for people that aren't prepared, which, fair. But she's always like, she's always respectful. Like if someone shows up, and it doesn't happen very often, but if that happens and someone's not on it or something didn't happen in any department, she's like, we take this very seriously. This is my empire. This is my baby, and we're going to do it better. And so the success of the show, like if you had to pick one person, it's her. It all comes down to like the commitment and the work that she puts in. Yeah, so I feel very lucky and honored to like witness it and see like if this is me ever, this is how you do it. It's just like that's like the only way. She's such a boss.
Well, like I say, I know it sounds like a negative when you say calculated, because I don't mean it in a negative
No, I
way
know
at
what you mean, but
all.
like yeah,
But
yeah,
it's
just like
just she's just so together, right?
yeah,
Which is,
yeah.
here.
And that's I think she's like she grew up acting as a kid and in a different like way more serious way than I did. And so I think that there is like there's like Allie at work, and then there's Allie not at work. And Allie at work is like anyone, I think, right? You show up and you're like, yeah, I'm at work now, and I'm a different kind of person. I've got different requirements of me, and I like switch on. And then like she goes back when they're up here. I think I'm allowed to share this, but like when she's up here, a lot of the time she rents this like really beautiful. She's big equestrian, and she rents this like really beautiful little cottage on a farm. And there's horses there and whatever. And her and I think Barbara has stayed there, and she's filming sometimes too because Barbara and Allie are super tight. I mean, they've worked together for probably 20 years now. And they'll like go home and have a glass of wine and like run their lines for the next day. So, she does like, she's, yeah, she's a mercurial creature. She's very cool.
I guess that's your goal then, to get invited to go have the wine and run the lines,
Oh,
right?
getting invited to wine night would be an honor. I don't know. I don't know if I'm there yet. But usually a lot of the time what happens is that they do wine night, and then they make a bunch of edits, and then they come in the morning and they're like, we've done wine night. And I'm like, oh no, how much wine was there? And then they show the edits, and I'm like, oh, these are good edits. And then we like we change the scene, we make more edits, like in the trailer, in the makeup trailer in the morning, and then the scene's a bit different. Yeah.
There's another face that got introduced to the series other than you, came a couple episodes later,
Mhm.
which is Victor Webster. What
Yeah.
was it like when Victor came on? We just talked to him right before Reality Bites,
Yeah.
but what was it like? Because he's also in that upper
Mhm.
Hallmark criteria of
Yeah.
superstars. So
Oh yeah. No, Victor's lovely. I mean, he's super professional. He has a lovely dog. If he does, he has the sweetest dog.
right.
She gets to come to set every now and then, and she's so sweet. But yeah, no, he's great. I loved his predecessor too. I was sad that Cameron wasn't joining us anymore. They have such a different energy. Like they're totally different people. But it brings out this really interesting energy in Allie, which is cool, and in Hannah. Like it's a different relationship, and they have a different relationship off on like in character and out of character. So that's cool. Like it's cool to watch. And I haven't had like too many scenes with um his character. So I haven't actually had that much overlap
Wait,
with
your
Victor.
boyfriend's is like,
No, I know,
yeah, so
but
yeah.
yeah, Dalen Lonnie has a lot
Yeah.
of scenes and stuff with him, but I haven't personally had that many scenes. So I haven't actually spent that much time with Victor. All the time that I've spent with him is amazing, and he's lovely, and he's a great actor. And yeah, always like very prepared and comes in the scene, gives you exactly what you need. And those are the scenes we finish the fastest, I would say. It's like the scenes that I've been in with him, because it's just like, oh, yep, that was perfect. And then we move on.
Yeah, it's interesting to say the different or the different dynamic of Hannah, right? The
Mm-hmm.
character,
Mm-hmm.
because we've talked about it, is when you have Mike and Norman, they were kind of like pursuers of Hannah, and Hannah's whatever, no, 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 and toys with
Yeah.
them. But when you have Chad, she's like, now she's the one, on the other side,
Pursuing.
where she's the quote unquote pursuer, so to speak, and trying to get him to eat baked goods.
Yeah.
By the way, do you eat any of the baked goods on set?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I think everyone knows that I have a healthy appetite. Like everyone on set, I have a healthy appetite for the baked goods. So a lot of the time I get presented with like options, like, would you rather this one or this one? And then
And you
I'm
say
like,
both?
okay, well, where did this one come from? Like what are the like how old like are they both fresh? Like, yes, of course they're both fresh. Okay, okay, okay. So I'm trying to like, okay, well, is this one like, organic? Or like did this one have more whatever. But no, now it's a bit of a game because I'm like, I want the good treat. We want the good treat.
So when you look at the whole set, the whole cast, excuse me, who do you think would in real life be the best sleuther?
Allie.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. She figures it out. Like she's always figured it out. Like she would be the best sleuther. Um she's just so smart. I don't think that yeah. Like if there's a problem to be solved, she has solved it before you even knew it was a problem. So I definitely think she would be the best sleuther for sure. And she's so different from her character. I mean, as you've seen in your auditions or your interviews with her, like she's switched on. And she's so sharp. So yeah, I think if there was a mystery to be solved and I needed to call someone and it was I could only pick them up our cast, it would be her.
You've been in 6 of them. What do you hope Michelle character does as time progresses and we see you in another 6 episodes down the
Yeah, I hope that we keep making these forever. Literally, I truly do. They're so fun. I always joke that I would love to see the show have a wedding, and it seems that that Hannah just can't ever decide. So maybe Michelle gets a wedding. Someone should have a wedding, and there should be a murder at a wedding. And I would love to see Dolores at one of her daughter's weddings. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe
that would be over the top.
I would love. I know. Can you imagine?
She'd show up in white.
I know. So I'm having a wedding. Dolores is there. Picture this. Dolores is there. Someone is murdered. Maybe the groom. I don't know. I don't know. And then calamity ensues. So that's, yeah. If I had like
I do like it.
I don't, yeah.
And you do know that you now know a writer for Hannah.
Sure do.
Who is, we talked about, Alison is a
Yeah.
powerhouse and she's writing them now.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a fantastic one. There you go. And you can pitch it.
Her.
And now you're executive producer credit there.
Yeah, exactly. I just need a credit for this brilliant idea. No, in fairness, like we do, one of the other actors on our show, Juliana Wimbles, who plays Lisa,
right,
in the bakery, she is also a writer, and I think she and Allie have like worked on some writing things together and stuff. I don't know if Juliana's like helped with this series, but I know that I think they've written something else maybe together. Okay. I don't know. But I know that they talk about writing a lot and like story a lot and stuff like that. So a lot of the time in the green room, especially if Juliana's there, like ideas are thrown out about what if everyone was locked in a hotel?
She's one of the actors who's been in every episode.
Yeah, so she's been in every single one. And she was my acting teacher when I was 10.
Seriously?
Yep. Yep.
Interesting.
Teenage Juliana was my acting teacher. And so when we started working on these like 4 years ago or 3 years ago, she was like, oh my God, here you are.
Did you like call her? Did you like know she was on and give her a call like, hey, I guess he's coming to town? Or
no, I just saw her on the call sheet and then she like banged on my trailer first thing in the morning. She was like, da-da-da-da-da-da. I opened my door. I was like, how did I know it would be you?
And then your first scene, she's like, that's not what I taught you.
God, you're awful. How did you get hired? No, she's amazing. She's lovely. And she's actually kind of like Michelle. Like she's like, she'll grind your gears in like the best, most loving way possible. So yeah, we have a lot of characters on our show behind the scenes. We're all characters.
When we had Victor on, he said, which surprised us all, that Gabriel Hogan is actually an incredibly hilarious individual that
This
like in person.
surprised you.
Well, he's like his character. Like when you see
It's
him,
kind of like
he's kind of a
bumbling.
nerdy-ish, whatever. You
Yeah.
don't really look at him and go, "Oh, that guy is the life of the party, hilarious," right? So, and I don't hang out with him, so I don't get to see.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Between takes.
So I told you that the fastest scenes that I have are with Victor, and the slowest scenes that I have are with Gabe, because that man make you laugh until you cry and then can't do the scene. Like, we're literally like, every scene takes 3 times as long. And yeah, he's hysterical. He's so funny. He's everything. You just look at him and laugh. Well, now I just look at him and laugh because he like says, I remember something he said yesterday or whatever. But he doesn't make anyone laugh as much as he makes Allie laugh. Like, it's great. And then you just know, like, if you see that they had a scene in the morning, and on our last one, yeah, he was in so much of the movie, and I was overjoyed when I read the script. I was like, he's back. Yeah, and then you see on the call sheet, if he has a scene in the morning with Allie, you know the scenes in the afternoon are going to be late. You're like, yeah, that's fine. But they had a lovely morning. We'll rush through the afternoon, but they had a really good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's been absolutely delightful talking to you. Now, before we go, is there anything coming up that you're going to be in that you can share, or do you have top secret stuff that you can't share but you can say good stuff's happening?
Yeah, good stuff is happening. I have a movie coming out this year, I think. It's a feature film. It's like an action feature, and it's a comedy. So I have a really small role, but it was amazing. It's with Kevin James, and I got to do a scene with him, and it was really fun. That was also like a master class. I'm like, oh, here you are in real life, being hilarious. Like, okay, that's how you do it. And yeah, so I have that coming out sometime this year, and I don't know if it's going to like a streamer like Prime or something like that, or if it's going to be in theaters. I don't know, but it's called Playdate, and it comes out in 2025.
We got plenty of 2025 left to go, so look forward to that. All right, Tess. Well, I almost called you Michelle because it's just so like used to it, but so Tess, it was lovely talking to you. Hope to talk again. It was
so nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Actually, after the next 6, we'll recap where they're at when you're. Well, I guess if you have the murder at the wedding and it's your husband Lonnie is what we'd all expect. Now Lonnie's getting killed off, so well, I guess we probably shouldn't tell him that you wish he gets killed off.
Hey, I didn't even.
He likes his paycheck,
Maybe there's another. I don't know. Maybe in the next 4 movies, I find it. We break up, but he stays as like a.
Well, no, I think you just wished him.
I don't know.
I think you wished him killed off the series, but
never.
That's our clip right there. Tess wants him killed off the series. We'll cause some drama. Well,
and that causes me to get written off the series. No. Thank you so much for having me. It was nice to meet you. Bye.
Have a good day.